Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Bob Iger, Disney CEO. Disney CEO who's going to stay until the end of 2026, by the way.
Yeah, I got a contract extension.
He did this interview yesterday, and he dropped a lot of truth bombs. And we talked yesterday about how he was dropping the truth bomb on the writer's strike, that they're really not in a position to negotiate at this point because things are not doing well. And as part of things not doing well, he's admitting that Marvel done effed up.
But he's not saying who. Because people were running with the whole narrative that it was Chapek's fault, and he's not correcting it. Because in actuality, the one who made a lot of these bad choices, or at least initially that set the stuff on this course, was Bob Iger.
Yes, so we're gonna talk about that because a lot of this this apology tour, this explanation tour that Bob Iger is going on is him effectively blaming Chapek, I think, for a lot of his f-ups.
Interesting enough, when it was announced that he was going to be doing this interview that he did yesterday, it was announced right before his contract extension was announced. So I have to wonder, is his contract extension dependent on him going out there and being the face of owning the stuff and how we're going to move forward to try to raise the stock prices?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on.
All happened, boom, boom, boom. So I think it was part of his agreement to extend his contract, is he had to go out there and do damage control on this.
And it's all stuff that fans and investors have been concerned about. They're like, hey,
we've been saying it. We've all been saying the stuff he just admitted to.
You weren't allowed to for years. If you said anything negative about Disney, if you pointed any of this stuff out 2 years ago, you were called a Nazi. You were dismissed. Haters
who have been shitting on us for saying the exact same thing that your own savior Bob Iger has said. You can fucking kiss my ass. Here, I'll hold it up for you. Kiss it. Kiss it.
I can verify she is indeed holding her ass cheek up to the mic.
Kiss it.
Some people might take you up on that offer.
Well, I'm just saying, everything we've been saying, I'm taking so much shit for. From the pixie duster, full of shit people. It's like, now your own leader is telling you, oh yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, yeah. He's not taking the responsibility. He should be taking it.
Oh, absolutely not.
People are blaming it all on Chapek, and he's not saying it was Chapek, but he's not correcting that, he's not owning that it was him either.
I would love for Bob Iger to have a moment of clarity and truthfulness during one of these interviews, and it would be like Daddy Daycare, where he's like, "So Bob, what happened with Fox? I missed." What do you mean? I missed.
I think in some ways he is starting to be like, oh shit, you know?
Doesn't matter. Tim Cook's gonna be your boss in a couple of years, maybe. So let's.
I think he's his daddy now. But anyway, that's all.
Tim Cook's his daddy now. Let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
You can kiss Geeky's ass.
Well, to be fair, you can't miss it.
You said that.
I did, because it's true. Anyway, continue.
So let's talk about this. John Self on piratesandprincesses.net put the story up, and he was talking about all the box office misfires, and we're gonna talk about this because what Iger is saying. It seems like he's laying the blame at the feet of others when he himself greenlit the majority of the stuff that has failed.
We're gonna talk about that. Well, let's see what he said first.
All right. So he admitted in this interview. Let's see, we'll go to this interview here, that there have been some disappointments. We would have liked some of our more recent releases to perform better. It's reflective, not as a problem from a personal perspective. Personnel, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. A personnel perspective.
It's not personal perspective.
It's nothing
either.
Personal, it's just business. A personnel perspective.
It's not reflective from a personnel perspective. So that means leadership is responsible.
Yeah, what about the old Victoria Alonso who got pushed out? She pushed for a lot of the bullshit in phase 4 and phase 5 that's causing them problems now, right? I think in our zeal to basically grow our content significantly to serve mostly our streaming offerings, we ended up taxing our people way beyond in terms of their time and their focus, way beyond where they had been.
Meaning the special effects people and all that stuff and the actors and things that are all upset now. Here's what's interesting. In our zeal to basically grow our content significantly, that was him. Because He announced Disney Plus. They were announcing it. It was going to launch in 2019, which it did. And they were moving their focus to that. Now, it was under Bob Chapek that they reorganized the company to focus on direct-to-consumer. However, Bob Iger was still there, was chairman of the board. He was involved in all that, too. The movies and all the stuff that they were making, the ones that have been failing at the box office, that were failing on Disney Plus, She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel, the Marvel's Hero Project, which they pulled off already, Moon Knight, things like that. Then they had from movies, Black Panther 2, Eternals, Ironheart's coming out, Captain Marvel, Black Widow, Thor Love and Thunder, Blade, a lot of the Phase 4, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania going into Phase 5. They were all announced back in 2019. Or they were started in 2019 when Bob Iger was in charge. So he ultimately was responsible for saying, yeah, go ahead and do that. Because Feige can do what he could say, I want to do these things, but it's going to have to go to Iger for final approval. Iger was fine with it. So when they did this, this glut of movies that were, superhero, diversity, inclusion, let's change all our characters, all that. And they failed terribly, like Eternals. And, Thor Love and Thunder, those were under Iger.
Yes. Yeah. So he's basically coming back to clean up his mess.
Mm-hmm. It's like what Trisket always says, Quicking says. It's like these people, they act like they're heroes, and all they did was set their own house on fire and then put it out and say, I'm the hero, kiss my ass. He didn't say kiss my ass. I added that, even though he probably would say that. And that's kind of what this is like.
So he's talking about Marvel in particular. He said Marvel's a great example of that. They had not been in the TV business at any significant level. Not only did they increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of television series. And frankly, it diluted focus and attention. I guess Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was never a thing. We just forget.
Yeah, apparently, and all the
Daredevil,
all the Netflix shows, that
they never existed.
He's talking about by they he means him.
Yeah, real Marvel.
Because Disney Plus was going to start with some shows. WandaVision did okay, Loki did okay. We went into Star Wars. Mandalorian was doing well initially, and then it just became that did okay. So let's just vomit all these other ones out and see what happens. And it just is too much. And people started missing them because of the pandemic, and they didn't see them. And then they're like, hey, I'm totally fine with not watching these anymore.
Yeah. That's kind of how I felt after Boba Fett. I was like, I don't need to watch Star Wars anymore. I don't need to see any Star Wars. I gave The Mandalorian a chance. I still to this day have not seen The Rise of Skywalker. I gave Mandalorian a chance, and it was good-ish. It was the first season was pretty good. Second season was pretty good. Third season I've heard is terrible. I haven't watched it. After 2 episodes of Boba Fett, I noped out 1 episode of Obi-Wan.
Well, Boba Fett killed Mandalorian. People were like, this is how bad Boba Fett is. We're not going to watch Mandalorian.
Yeah.
They're talking about the poor box office performance of Pixar's Elemental. He cited the studio's decision to put 3 Pixar movies on Disney Plus in a row during the pandemic. Soul, Luca, and Turning Red all skipped theaters and went straight to streaming. Lightyear and Elemental, the 2 Pixar films that opened in theaters afterwards, flopped. I do agree with that, but on the flip side of this, and I will give Disney the benefit of the doubt on this one. What else were they supposed to do? Because they had these films, they needed to do something with them so they could move on to something else. They had to be released in a certain time frame, I'm sure. And they thought, well, if we put it on and Disney Plus, and we do with some of those access things you had to pay extra money for. They did it with Mulan. They did it with a bunch of stuff. They were at least making some money. So as a company, I can kind of understand why they made that choice. I also think Luca and Turning Red would never have done great in the theater. I don't think they would have. I mean, I like Turning Red, but I don't think it would have brought money.
Turning Red was a decent movie. It wasn't a Pixar movie. It felt like a movie from another theater.
Right. And
another studio.
Lightyear would have done well in theaters. Yeah. Lightyear would have been a win in theaters and would have come back strong. Except it wasn't Buzz Lightyear. It was this when I started that diversity and inclusion stuff, and they were trying to push these narratives, and they're trying to get rid of Tim Allen because he's problematic and make it the movie that Andy watched. That Andy would not have watched that movie.
Hell no.
And it's like they just completely confused their audience and lost their audience. Lightyear could have been a slam dunk if it had actually been Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
That was their own stupidity and their own choices because they keep chasing these modern audiences, these legend modern audiences, and they keep, turning out shitty movies that appeal to nobody, or they appeal to a very, very, very niche audience. And then they're like, I don't understand why we're not making money. What happened?
Yeah. So back in March, following the flop of Quantumania, Iger said Newness is something the MCU needs in order to re-strengthen the box office appeal. I would say it's the opposite. I would say familiar characters. Look at Star Wars, same thing. And as soon as you veer away from Han, Luke, and Leia, everything comes off the rails.
Right. Well, even with Marvel, like we started getting this whole idea, we're taking all the characters that everybody's been knowing, and we're going to replace them with like She-Hulk and, you know, a new Captain America and a new whatever, and a new Iron Man, Ironheart and stuff. Yeah. That's when the stuff started going up a cliff, because people were like, I don't want that. And the comics were already not selling prior. You had an indication there wasn't a market for it. So you're like, well, we're going to make a market for it. You put Ms. Marvel in a video game.
Which did so bad, Square Enix had to sell that division off. Right. That game failed so badly.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know what else. I mean, there's that old story about, like, the person's in the water drowning and one boat comes by and he's like, no, I'm good. Or he's on a roof and the water's rising. And people keep coming by to save him. And he's like, no, I'm good. And he's praying, Lord's going to save me. Lord's going to save me. And then finally, you know, the water gets so high, the person drowns, and he sees the Lord. He's like, why didn't you save me? He's like, I sent you 3 boats.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like that. They've been given, you know, different warning signs over and over and over again, yet they continue this shit. I mean, it's your own damn fault. Sequels typically work well for us, Iger said at Morgan Stanley. They do not.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, for all their hatred of YouTubers, right? Pop culture YouTubers. They even mocked Doomcock and She-Hulk, I guess, right? So for all their anger at YouTubers, they have been pointing out problems for years. You guys could have course corrected. You were sent a boat. All you had to do was listen to what the fans were telling you. And then when that didn't work, you were like, oh, they're just really loud and they're just whatever. It's
because they're incels and they're misogynistic racist, because Twitter says.
Yes, and then the numbers started dropping off because they were basically saying what the normies were feeling.
Because that's not the vocal minority at that point. That's the majority.
Yeah.
The vocal minority are the ones telling you to change things.
Yeah, and they don't change until the money starts drying up. And that's what happened.
He's like, do we need a 3rd and 4th, for instance? Or is it time to turn to other characters? No, see, the reason your sequels worked before is because they were still the characters. When you had multiple Captain America movies, multiple Avengers movies, multiple, Iron Man movies, they worked because it was the character. When they started failing is when you ruined the character, or you changed the character, or you set it up to change the character. Then it didn't do well. It wasn't about making a new character to replace them.
So this is interesting. This is back in March. Now he's kind of, it's a different tune now, but they're always they're blaming everything but the content. They're like, oh, it's because people were used to seeing Marvel. Oh, it's because it's stale. Look at what he said. He said there's nothing in any way inherently off in terms of the Marvel brand.
Where shall we begin?
I think we just have to look at what characters and stories we're mining, and you look at the trajectory of Marvel over the next 5 years, and you see a lot of newness. We're going to turn back to the Avengers, but with a whole different set of Avengers.
But that's what they've been setting up, so there's no newness there. And you can tell from the track record that they are not the trajectory is not going up. If you're counting on a new set of Avengers with the people, what they were saying at the end of whichever film it was, I think in Marvel's, they're saying that they're teasing they're teasing like Young Avengers, and they're setting up all these new characters. You've been setting up replacements, and they are not doing well because people don't want those replacements. And your answer is, oh, it's all fine because the trajectory is going to be a lot of newness with these new characters that everybody's told you they don't want.
Yeah, remember how New Mutants was supposed to replace the X-Men in the theaters? Anybody remember New Mutants? Bob, you bought Fox. That was a freaking disaster. Nobody watched that movie.
Eternals, they were trying to introduce a whole posse of new characters for newness. And look how that went.
The problem is they fell in love with Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk.
You can do it for a new character, like when they did Shang-Chi. It didn't do bad because it was a new character.
It was a new character. Additive. It was additive,
not subtractive. And that's just it. You want to add new characters. And yeah, I get the character. The actors are getting kind of old to play, so these characters. But that doesn't mean you can't continue the characters with a different actor or something else. But the problem is, I understand why. I mean, I get why you're trying to switch out characters for new versions of them. I get it. I totally get why. The thing is, these characters have been around for decades, and people want those characters.
I think the reason they introduced the multiverse is it's an easy out. It's an easy reset button. It's an easy way to be like, okay, well, we tried those new characters. That didn't work. We can't afford this actor, or that actor is too old now. So let's just
a lot of them don't want to do it because they don't work with Disney anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, look at Scarlett Johansson. She's like, I will never work
But no, she's
on
still doing
Marvel.
some stuff.
She said, I'm
Yeah.
never going to do Marvel
But it's
stuff
like,
again.
you know, there's actors that are talking about, like they had Elizabeth Olsen basically making comments about, you know, actors don't want to be locked into contract for so many movies because you don't know what you're going to be stuck with and stuff like that. So I think these actors are not happy. Now, they just don't always come out and comment about it. But a lot of them are mad being stuck into this.
Yeah, so what they'll do is they'll just pull another Steve Rogers from the Multiverse. Like, okay, well, we got another Tony Stark. We got another Steve Rogers, younger, cheaper, whatever.
It's not that. This character was a Skrull the whole time.
Oh my God.
I don't want to spoil it, but this character was a Skrull the whole time. You just didn't know.
Is that okay? So this is a spoiler for Secret Invasion, right? Reportedly, I have not watched it. I have less than zero interest in anything MCU and anything Star Wars.
You have negative interest.
I have negative interest. Okay, you've actually chased me off. Somehow Star Trek won me back. Just for Picard. I don't know about. Well, Strange New Worlds isn't too bad either. But still. Okay, so the spoiler is that Rhodey has been a Skrull the whole time.
Yeah, apparently.
Like, is this how they explain? Is this how they explain recasting Terrence Howard? Is this just like his face changed? We didn't know.
They're going to use multiverse and Skrulls as a reason that, you know, characters are gone and we need a new one, so you need to get over it or whatever. And they're just going to use multiverse to be like, oh, this is Captain America, but Captain America from that universe.
Yes, that's exactly what they're going to do.
So when they say we're going to do a different set of Avengers, it's probably. I wonder if they're just going to go with that. We're going to set up in the multiverse, and that's going to be it. But I do think it's going to be like Ironheart and all that, too, because they already put all that money into it.
They'll try that first. They'll try that first because they've already committed to it with the Disney Plus shows, because all the Disney Plus shows are building up. We've got Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
You know, they're already building up Wanda's kids. They're members of the Young Avengers. Are already building that up. If that fails, or they'll use them to bring in multiverse versions of, you know, the heroes everybody actually knows and loves. They'll just be different actors playing them.
I don't know.
You know?
I just think it's just so rich coming from him when he's the one who greenlit all this shit. And then he was one to bring up about Star Wars that he thought there was fan fatigue, right? But not long before, I don't know, like it was right around the time that Galaxy's Edge opened, and not long after that, you know, stuff happened and he got moved and shifted. But he was mentioning it, and then that all suddenly went away. It's not fan fatigue. It is fan fatigue. People are tired of your shitty movies.
What is he supposed to do? Like, what are you supposed to do when you're talking to the investors? What are you supposed to do? Be like, yeah, hey.
It's on fire.
Disney's on fire, guys. We don't have.
They got fired for doing something like that.
We don't have any plans for Star Wars or Marvel other than just putting shit out and hoping people go see it. We know what the problem is, but we're too far in production to change any of it. And if we change it, our internal DEI people, they're going to complain. Oh, that's cool. We fired them. But like, even if Disney decided today we need to change everything, it's going to take them because it's the Titanic. I mean, literally in more ways than one, but they got to steer away from that iceberg. So
they already hit the iceberg.
They already hit the iceberg.
It's like Tony Stark in the first, you know, Iron Man movie where he's standing with the weapons and he turns around and puts his arms out. How's Marvel doing? And there's a bunch of fire behind him. It's like that.
And it would take them 5 years to turn it around because these movies take so damn long. And now with a strike, now what they can do, and what I think he's probably going to do, is use the strike as a reason to be like, well, we lost all those writers and now it's been so long since the last movie. We just got to reset everything.
Hollywood in general, because it's not just Disney. They're all burning down, and it's because of bad choices. They listen to the wrong people as well. DEI people are getting canned, and now they're rehiring new ones, but they're working with just like HR only. They're not like dictating things anymore.
Yes.
The Victoria Alonso's gone. You know, I think that they're using they're all using this excuse. Like, we can get rid of all these activist writers.
Yes. And
actually get in people that, you know, who might have, you know, want to get some diversity and inclusion in there, but still make good stories.
Yeah, so what they're going to do is, again, you know, rolling in HR, they'll be like, yeah, okay, so we got a diversity and inclusion guy here that's, you know, if somebody makes a racial slur on set or something, we'll deal with it, versus like we're going to dictate the content of the shows.
And the casting decisions.
And the casting decisions and the percentage of the writers and the writers' room. And yes, you're unrealistic according to Bob Iger. Yeah, the whole thing's burning down, but they're trying to say.
We've been saying the exact same damn thing. You're just a bunch of haters.
You're a bunch of Nazis.
Because Bob Iger's an asshole to the writers too, so you're all in the same boat. But yet Iger's your hero, you know, in the next sentence. I don't know.
YouTube was right. They knew YouTube was right. They just thought they could shut them up. They thought if they sent enough deflection, they thought they sent enough angry stands and enough bot accounts, enough whatever, and they got the real fans all riled up, and that they would stalk and dox these people, that they would eventually go away, and it didn't happen. And now it turns out that us and people like us were right. We were right the whole time.
Yeah, I love it when they use real fans. There's one guy I saw on Twitter goes around harassing people, and I looked at his account, and he's like talking about, about what they're a fan, they're the real fan, stopping the anti-fan.
Oh, there's a whole
real fan thinks that they think Disney stuff's fantastic, and I'm like, yeah,
and Bob Iger is admitting the whole thing's
there's more
burning.
people who hate this shit than that like it.
If
the whole world can't be an anti-fan asshole.
Yes, that's the thing. Numbers talk. And the numbers are down for everything. And that means that normies are turning away from it. They're rejecting it. They might not be as vocal. They talk about silent. Yeah, they don't have the platform, but they talk about the silent majority. They're just not going to the movies anymore. They're not buying the comic books anymore. They're not buying the video games. Whatever it is that they don't like, they're not buying it.
Flip side, though, too, Disney wants these customers. And they're like, they're upset because they're not getting at their parks, not getting at the movies, not getting at whatever. And it's like, the people have a finite amount of money. And you've priced people out. So they have to choose. Am I going to go see the movie, or am I going to go to the theme park? Am I going to get Disney Plus, or am I going to go to the theme park? It's gone to a place where you've already taken all their money. They don't have anything else to give you. Yeah.
So it's like, and then I love it too, because a lot of these people, they're like, we're the real fans. Meanwhile, Disney's out there like, hey, yeah, fuck all you writers on strike.
We got a reverse course.
They're the good guys though, right? They're the good guys. Right. Oh my God. Are we gonna wrap this up?
Yes.
Yeah, so please subscribe. Please subscribe. For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to clownfishtv.com. For more objective pop culture news, go to piratesandprincesses.net for more objective Disney news, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.